Hi, this is Kimball Bullington. We're looking at factor rating analysis. It's a tool commonly used where we have
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2
somewhat
3.
subjective or maybe very
How's this gonna work?
subjective criteria, and we're going to turn that into an objective or numerical rating. If you notice the criteria that we have over here in this problem, this is 2.9 out of high surrender. Trust. I mean, how do you really measure trust? How do you measure attitudes? We may be able to come up with some way to do it, but admittedly, we're looking at what tend to be subjective ratings. Perhaps we had a team to come up with the criteria, and that same team maybe voted on the weights. And so we have these weights. We don't consider all of these criteria to be of equal importance. Obviously, in this particular one, trust is their most important weight. Now, if all our weights turn out to be a sum to 1, then we're pretty much ready to go. If they're not, then I would want to force them to do that. We can show how that's done in a future example. But in this case, our weights are all equal to 1, and then a team has gone out and assessed each one of these criteria, given them a score from 1 to 10, with 1 being low risk and 10 being high risk. So at the end of the day, the low score is going to win in this evaluation. Now, you don't have to do it this way, but I like to show my interim results. So I like to add a column. Now, here's a management hint or a career hint. You don't have to do it this way, 2 different ways. So if a manager says you don't have to do this, but then if you're wanting to get ahead, you do it. And so when a professor says you don't have to do this, but it really means he'd like to see it that way. But I'm not forcing you to. And what I'm doing here is adding a column. There's a W by each of these, and that W just means that it's going to be the weighted score for that particular location. And let's center all of these labels. Now, in each case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the weight times the country score, which is just to the left of the weighted score. So here for Mexico under trust, I'm going to put in my formula equals B11 times C11. And that's right. 1 times 0.4 is 0.4. I'll just copy this down. Except I'd like to be able to just copy it all over. And the only way to do that is to anchor this bead where no matter what column I'm working from, I'm always referring back to the B column for my scores. And so there's those. And I'm even going to go ahead and copy my sum formula. There's another way to do sums, but I showed you that one right now. And now I'm pretty much done. So I'll copy this and paste it in Panama and Costa Rica and Peru. Don't you love homework problems that you can finish in under 5 minutes? So, but there's one more step, and that's which country should be chosen. Well, there's a little bit of cleaning up. I can see here now that my highlights are not in the right places. So let's zero out those highlights and put them back in. I have a yellow fill here and here, here, and here. So now it has a nice appearance to it. And which country wins? It would be Panama. Now, in a future lesson, we'll look at teaching you conditional formatting. So it'll choose for you rather than with a a logical formula, logical test. But here I'm just going to look for the lowest number and insert that and say, yeah, it's Panama is the winner. You're done. About 5 minutes, including explanation, to do this particular problem. Now 210, our tables are not exactly right, the same. I'm sorry, not exactly the same. But again, I would add columns and then multiply the weights times the columns and do that and make sure that you answer both questions. And 211, anything interesting here? Oh, it's just that the weights are buried up here in the text and you'll have to put them in yourself, then add the columns and for the weighted scores. So, piece of cake. Thanks.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. How's this going to work?